There's a new me coming out, and I just have to live, and I wanna give. I'm completely positive. I think this time around I am gonna do it like you never knew it. Oh, I'll make it through. The time has come for me to break out of the shell. I have to shout that I am coming out. I'm coming out. I want the world to know.
Welcome to the show Never Too Late Ever, where we focus on making the next chapter of your life the very best chapter ever. I am your host, Lorraine Hobing, and I am thrilled that you are joining us this very, very day. This day could change your life. You know the drill. Open your heart, you open your ears, and you listen. You may find a gem, listen, a treasure that you can apply to your life today. And I'm thrilled to have Cody Byrns here today. Hi, Cody.
Hello.
And you know what Cody has promised to you out there today? He has promised that he's going to entertain you, he's going to inspire you, motivate, and recharge you both in your work and in your life. And now that's a promise, Cody, and I'm excited about that.
Yes.
So let me tell you a little bit about Cody, and then he's going to tell us a little bit about his life story, and you will find it fascinating, as I did when I first heard it. Cody Byrns is an internationally recognized speaker, a #1 best-selling author, and the founder of the Cody Byrns Foundation for burn survivors. In May 2013, Cody's life was changed drastically after he was rear-ended by a box truck while stopped at a red light on the highway. He was considered dead until his first responders saw his hand move. He received many injuries that day, including severe burns to almost 40% of his body. After years of countless surgeries and rehabilitation, Cody has chosen, listen to the word chosen, to not allow his scars to keep him bound in bitterness and defeat. Instead, he uses his story to uplift others. His vision is to help people like you live free from the bonds of scars, whether they're physical or emotional, equipping you with the proper steps to walk out of your past and defeat and run toward your full potential. As a thought leader, Cody speaks worldwide to provide relevant, applicable, and thought-provoking messages. Welcome, Cody.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here.
You know, your story is fascinating, so I want to get right into it, and I want you to take the listeners out there back to the day in 2013. Do you have memory of most of that day, or let us in and let's get started?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, May 31st, 2013, I was 23 years old, and my life, just to kind of paint the picture for you, I was a children's pastor. So every Sunday and Wednesday, I was working with children, teaching, encouraging them. And then also I had the privilege to travel across the country and speak at kids camps and a lot of different events. I also got to do some circus events because I'm a professional juggler, and so that was always a very big part of my life.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I like it. That, and children love that.
Oh, absolutely. And so life was just going great. It was a Friday morning. I was going to my church office, went there, got some work done, and then that afternoon I had a meeting at a university there. This was in Vincennes, Indiana, and I was going to be doing a comedy and juggling performance the following weekend. And so we had a meeting and everything went great. It was on my drive back to my church office that my entire life as I knew it would change. I have to tell you that I do not recall the wreck. I only remember waking up in the burn unit 3 weeks later.
Wow.
It was very traumatizing. And you could imagine just one moment you're driving. I remember everything I was doing that morning. And then here I am in a hospital bed, waking up out of a coma off of life support, and to only be told that, I had these severe burn injuries. My almost died a couple of times when I was in the unit because my oxygen levels were very low. Severe burn injuries, like you mentioned in the bio, almost 40% of my body severely burned. And burn injuries, to kind of to illustrate it, is it went through all the fat cells down to bone and muscle, so very deep burns. And they wanted to amputate a few of my fingers. I had broken vertebrae, 2 broken vertebrae. I had torn ligaments. Whenever I was in the unit, I became septic, blood infection. I had pneumonia, all kinds of hurdles I had to go through.
Oh my gosh, what, and waking up to that and wondering what even happened, huh? You just kind of, and you must have been in severe pain when you woke up.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I was, still highly sedated, thank God. But I mean, it was just very much a big shock, because in those moments you're like, I did not see this coming. And we're only human, and even as time went on, I would wonder why. This is not what I had envisioned for my life.
Right.
This is
right,
so
because you were going along and you were a children's pastor and you were serving God, and then this came out of the blue, out of nowhere. So you must have had days of wondering why.
I did. And, and I think those are perfectly normal for anybody that is encountering unexpected tragedies in their life, whether it be something to what I went through, or the loss of a loved one, or even just other sicknesses and things that occur. And they're often very unexpected. And these moments, they cause us to wonder why. Why does these things happen? And I'll share with you briefly one of my mentors. His name is Dave Reber. He's served in Vietnam. He's also a burn survivor. And he tells people this: God did not do this to me, but he allowed it to happen because he could trust me with the scars. And I think that statement has changed his life, and he's been able to impact millions of people. And I also hold to that myself. But it took me a while. There's a lot of steps building up to saying that this is what I want to receive. So
yeah. That would be a process that would take quite a while, because you were just going on your life, and then suddenly you're waking up in pain, and very traumatic. Now, were you married at the time, or tell us a little bit. Were you married? What was your family around, and those kind of things?
Absolutely. No, I wasn't married, and I'm still single, looking for that right woman.
Oh, okay. Well, there's.
Yeah, I am single, ladies, if there's any ladies listening to this. And so, no, I single man.
I don't have that kind of show, Cody.
Well, I put it out there, maybe.
Yeah. You got to put it out there, because you never know.
That's right. And so, but no, at 23, I was still, living in with my family.
Oh, okay.
It's been I'm much of a family guy. I love my family. They mean the world to me, and all very close. And as you can imagine, with such a tragedy taking place, it was very shocking and traumatizing to my mom, my dad, and as well as my younger brothers. And, they have their whole side of the story that I didn't get to see. And it's very, very shocking.
Right. And I imagine just what you said there, because you were unconscious for 3 weeks. They had their own story, their own trauma that they went through, praying for you to come through. So it's not always only our story, but it's all the stories within that story that make an incredible impact on people's life.
Absolutely. It does. And it really has a big ripple effect on so many.
Right. So you were in the hospital for how long then? Was it
Yeah, I was in a coma, life support for 3 weeks.
3 weeks, okay.
Coming out of that, I was in the burn unit for a total of 2.5 months.
Wow.
Then I had to go to a in-stay rehabilitation center where I spent another 6 weeks just learning to walk and use my hands again, to get back to a new similar way of life, but yet very different, because now my body is covered in scar tissue and actually still healing from, skin grafts and things like that. I had many surgeries while in the unit and even outside of the unit. And I had to go whenever I got home. I had a couple more years of nonstop physical therapy and occupational therapy.
Wow.
So it was a good, I would say, 3 years of just nonstop therapy and surgeries. And, still to this day, it's something that I have to be on top of, is my body, and be aware of what's the new me.
Right. The new normal for you. But how did you, there must have been so many dark days at the beginning to tell yourself, I'm going to keep going, especially when people are in pain. I find pain can be so crippling to people for them to get out of their head. So what are some of the processes you used, or what did you tell yourself? Because there's people out there in our audience today that might have severe pain in different ways. It might be physical, it might be emotional. So what do you tell yourself in those times of deep darkness where nobody else sees? Maybe your family doesn't know, but you're in your room, or you're in your, rehabilitating. And what are you telling yourself to get through those dark times?
Yes, and I did have a lot of those dark moments, and I did fight depression, and we're only human. We certainly do battle with those moments. And with me, I think, growing up in the church and having faith, very highly involved as a part of my life, it made a big difference. However, there are many people that don't have that as a part of their life, and I would say to them, it's extremely important that you find good people to surround yourself with.
Absolutely.
That will encourage you and motivate you and bring the best out of you. We live in a world where there's a lot of people that are Debbie Downers, and they can certainly, just by hearing them or being around them talking negative, it can just bring you down all the more further. And so the last thing you want to do is find those negative people. You want to find good people. And, I come from, like I said, a very strong family, and I also had a lot of pastors and leaders that were encouraging me. And as well as children, children, teenagers, and adults, really, that were encouraging me. And, my vision has always been, I wanted to give hope to people. And, that's still a big part of who I am today. And that's what it was before the wreck. But now it's really, my whole vision has kind of been enhanced because of what has happened. And my mom, one of the first things she said to me whenever I came out of life support was, Cody, don't lose sight of your vision. And that stuck with me, because she knew and understood just how easy it would have been for me to give up and play the victim card.
Right.
And if everyone is being honest with themselves, at one point in their life, they've all had that moment where they wanted to play the victim. And they may have every right. I had every right. But my mom believed that there was something greater on the other side for her son.
Oh, I love that. I love, because I'm a mother too, and I think a mother's heart and a mother's love is like no other, because you were her baby, and she wanted what was best for you, and she saw that in that moment of time that you could give up, but she was encouraging you to go on to your vision, to keep your vision. I love it.
Yes. And so it's extremely important that we find those people that believe in us and believe the best of ourselves. And I think something too is I had to embrace my new reality. And that was so challenging. And, I can't, take back, I can't erase what happened yesterday. The only thing I can change is what I do today and from this moment forward. And I had to embrace these scars. And, I think I was talking about this, one of my mentors, there comes a time where a person not only embraces their scars, but they also get to that point where they can celebrate their scars and celebrate what you came through. And you're now a stronger and better individual because of that. But I think embracing your current reality, and also forgiveness, forgiveness in my case, I was sitting at a red light doing nothing wrong. But because of the driver's mistakes, I had to live with the consequences. And I believe there's many people in today's world, because of the mistake of somebody else, they have consequences, scars in their own life that they have to live with. And if we are not careful,